Introducing the world's largest coil-to-coil pickler. Up to 1 inch by 72 inches, 130 KSI material. With a standard 30-inch ID or 24-inch ID upon request, up to 3/8 inch. We offer regular mill oil, electrostatically applied, or dry lube. We are located in Calvert, Alabama, on the campus of the AMNS Mill, 35 miles from the Port of Mobile, and can further process your steel at our network of steel warehouse service centers.
Hi, I'm Dave Lerman, CEO of Steel Warehouse. I've been with the company on a full-time basis since 1966. Over those period of years, we've developed into one of the leading service centers in the steel industry. It's a well-developed business, so to be in the business, you've got to be at the top on quality, service, delivery, price. One of the other things that we bring to the party is innovation. This creative side of Steel Warehouse has always put us in a very positive competitive advantage. At Steel Warehouse, we deliver solutions.
I'm Gary Gibb. I'm the President and CEO of Rayco Industries. I founded Rayco 40 years ago as a family enterprise of doing complex weldments for major OEMs in the area. We are known around the country as a provider of complex fuel tank, hydraulic tank weldments required in what we call yellow iron in the construction industry in North America.
Hi, my name is Joe DeWeese. I'm the quality manager at SFI. I'm a weld engineer as well. I've been in this industry working specifically with weld for the last 22 years. Worked my way up through the ranks to the point where I became a certified weld engineer and have been utilized by several companies to troubleshoot their process and identify ways of saving money.
What we're trying to show you today is the advantage of pickled over blasted steel over hot rolled steel.
If you're using a hot rolled material and you have not removed the scale from the material, you then have to do so through blasting before you introduce paint line.
It gives what we call a satin finish. It's difficult for us to get the gloss required that the customer will put on there. Along with that, there's some impurities that will actually outgas through the powder and will become a defect, which is minute microscopic gas bubbles.
With many of today's excellent paint processes and systems, you're able to take a pickled product, you go straight from weld to paint to the finished product. You've eliminated a process as well as a lot of material handling and overhead associated with that.
And again, we don't use the blasted material because sometimes there's residue of the blast left on the plate that we have to get off. So pickled material is our material surface of choice. It's a higher quality surface condition at the end that our customer's going to see. It's easier for painting, it's easier for welding.
When a welder's welding on hot rolled material, he oftentimes has additional spatter.
The spatter from the welding will adhere to the surface. We have to scrape it off. If we don't scrape it properly, we'll leave defects in the surface.
There is a higher level of spatter adhesion to that substrate. Whereas when you have a pickled material, it resists the adhesion of spatter. That's a huge savings. Typically, when welding on hot rolled material, you also have slower travel speeds. The weld's a dynamic process, and as you're burning the weld into the substrate of the material, it's having to burn through the hard jacket of scale. Robots don't always do so well welding on scaled material because they have a feedback loop that tells them, for example, if you're seam tracking and it's following a seam and it's getting some kind of false feedback response because of the scale jacket, then it tends to get lost in that weld zone and you end up with more rework.
Again, while we use pickled material, it does not have those conditions. It welds better.
And immediately I got a very favorable response from the programmer on the robot saying that his welds were turning out a lot better and he was able to hold a more consistent parameter, as well as it increased his ability to put the weld on the plate. His travel speeds increased.
One of the things that we prefer pickled material is that the throughput is much greater.
Anytime you have to take material when it leaves a laser shop and then you send it to another process so that you can weld, which is your end process, it slows your throughput. One of the cost associations with hot rolled material is the whole process of blasting. There's an entire overhead associated with that. You're paying salaries, you're paying benefits, you're paying health insurance. You're also dealing with the whole cost of media. You don't have the luxury of just throwing it in the trash. There's lots of environmental rules that somebody has to come pick it up. There's also a lot of indirect costs that are not captured, such as injuries. Much of the media that comes from this blasting booths end up on the floors, and you have people walking over these floors. If you're not keeping these floors swept up, people slip. Oftentimes, you don't do a good job of capturing those costs, but they're there and they're real. Pickled material, on the other hand, offers you the opportunity of processing that material to the component level, introducing it straight into the weld shop, and not having to prepare. The welder can then take the various components, throw them into the weld fixtures, and start welding. By definition, you're increasing the velocity or the throughput of your shop. You're decreasing the costs associated with blasting or grinding and giving grinders to the welders. You're now removing the weld stinger from their hand, and they make you money by making welds and not prepping joints.
We at Rayco Industry use 100% pickled and oiled steel. There's a reason why we do that. There's a welding advantage, a surface prep advantage, and also a painting advantage.
As a quality manager, it would be my suggestion that you identify opportunities for pickled product. It will increase the velocity into your shop, it will decrease the costs, and it will increase your quality yield. Steel Warehouse, be tickled with their pickles.
One more time. You'll be tickled with
Okay.
our pickle.
Steel Warehouse, you'll be tickled with our pickle.
Steel Warehouse, you'll be tickled with our pickle. Gotcha.